Good morning, Dubai. Welcome back to the Lovin Dubai show, where we go through the top trending stories that everyone across the country is talking about. Of course, the story of the weather. We're going to have a recap of yesterday's media briefing, with the general alert being stay home tomorrow.
As well, the UAE condemns Israel's approval of new settlements in the West Bank and Jerusalem.
We're talking about the UAQ decision to extend the weekend, i.e. a 4-day week during Ramadan.
As well, local chef responds to reward season, which he accolades in his own way.
Also, please stay tuned, because later on in the show, we're going to be joined by Thomas Young, who is the US Consular Chief, on visa wait times and the voting process. We're really excited about that interview. And if you have questions, drop them in the live now, because he's here to answer them.
As well, it is day 156 days since the genocide began in Gaza. According to the Palestinian Ministry of Health in the Gaza Strip, the death toll has risen up to 30,800, while 72,298 have been injured. And more than 1.9 million people have been displaced from their homes. As we all say all the time, our thoughts and prayers are always with the victims of Gaza and the Palestinians.
8:31 on a Friday morning. Good morning to everyone tuning in on Facebook, Instagram, and Huznamande. Thank you for tuning in. She said, Happy International Women's Day. So happy International Women's Day to all of you. Our top topic of this morning, we want to ask, what does it mean to you, whether you're a man or a woman? We'd like to put it to you in the comments. What does International Women's Day mean to you? Do you celebrate? What does it represent for you? And do you see change or impact after it happens?
First of all, I want to say Happy International Women's Day to you, Casey.
Happy International Women's Day to you,
everyone in the office as well. It's beautiful, to celebrate women on this day. What it means to me, actually, is that I feel like women are so underrated. Till this day, yes, I know the country does recognize women in so many ways, but I feel like women in general are so underrated in the workforce. It's like, oh yeah, you can't do this. But then a woman just wants to prove herself. She goes like, oh yeah, just watch me. And then she will get the thing done. There's as well, I think, I have seen a TikTok that says, if you want something done, ask a woman.
Ask a woman.
Literally. I'm not going to bash out men, of course, shout out to all the men out there. But actually, if you want something done, ask a woman, because she will be out there to prove herself that she can actually do it.
Yeah, but I think you made a good point that it's not to bash men. Like, the purpose of the day is for a gender equal world. So we want to have a free of a bias of the she can't do that. Or, it's not about the she or the he. It's that we're meant to be inclusive. There's meant to be no discrimination based on gender. And there's different celebrations and ways to approach it. So I'd love to know, have you actually done anything, or is your company doing anything today or in the week leading up to it? Because there's certain events that happen in Dubai, but I wonder if maybe they're just for media. Does it reach the general public? Because I feel like it is a day to celebrate women, but then I also feel like it should be a day to highlight if there's ways that change can still happen.
That's true.
I do believe in the UAE as women in the workplace. We don't see a disparity. I'd love your thoughts on that. But then maybe there's ways to go. Maybe the conversation needs to open up more on, for example, maternity leave and things related to childcare. Maybe those conversations, maybe today is a day for those conversations to be brought to the fore.
That's true. They are the conversations that we need to bring to light. And speaking of Women's Day, I have seen an interview of on a channel yesterday of a father, because of course in the Arab culture, in a family there needs to be a boy. A boy needs to be in the family because he is going to be holding the whole family. So it is actually a thing. It's like in Arabic, it's like, when is the boy coming? When is the boy coming? And the dad kept on trying for so long to have a boy, but he got 5 girls. And in the interview, the lady was asking him, the host was asking him, how does it feel? Do you feel frustrated? And he was like, no, because I know for a fact that my girls have been doing the job of a man. Because they are handling everything. I mean, the girl has a business, she is succeeding in life, and she is just handling everything. And it's just beautiful. I thought that was so heartwarming because, again, it just I would say cancels the stigma of hey, we need to have a man in the family. And if any Arab is watching me, they would know what I'm talking about because technically it is in every Arab household, it's like, oh yeah, you know what? If like the wife and the husband, they don't get a boy, they're going to keep on trying till they get the boy.
You know, it's really interesting. You made a point before the show that although there's a lot of change happening, we still feel like we're in a mad-led world. And I was at an event last night, and I think it was a new business owner, woman, entrepreneur, and I think she's one of 5 sisters.
Okay.
And she started her own business. Breaking all those stereotypes. And I feel like the UAE really fosters that entrepreneurship attitude. And starting one business may not seem like a huge
deal,
a huge impact on the grand scheme of things. But if you have many women starting businesses, you'll see more female CEOs coming to the fore. We look at Apparel Group led by Seema Ved. Her story is phenomenal.
That is true.
And hopefully in years to come, with small businesses in the UAE fostering that growth, we'll see more change there. However, maternity leave, all of that. Let's bring those conversations to the floor as well. It's 8:36. We'd love to know how you're celebrating, if you're celebrating, if you think the day has real impact. But the top story, everyone is asking, is it raining? When is it going to rain? And we have the information for you.
So yesterday we went live and just like, immediately just updated you with the briefing that has happened. So the UAE announces extreme weather alert. A meeting has been held yesterday at 5 p.m. And the National Weather Alert advised to stay at home unless it is necessary, as the country is expecting severe weather conditions from today evening until noon on Sunday, March 10th, bringing heavy rainfall accompanied by lightning, thunder, and occasional hailstorms.
So the meteorology department has called for caution, avoid the sea. They have said that there will be fines in place for people that drive towards places where valleys flow, where water accumulates, and where places where hail falls. Please follow instructions issued by the concerned authorities to avoid any unwanted events. They wish safety for everyone.
As well, the advice goes as follows: stay at home unless it's an emergency, don't use cars, expect hail, don't follow rumors, which is the most important one, of course, and events are going to be probably cancelled. Decisions with the emergency team: park cars high up away from the water.
And in terms of school and events, what has been announced is that they're leaving that with the decision of the schools to announce that. So I'm sure by now it's 8:37. You're probably aware if your school is opening. I think potentially the work from home option is there, because here in Dubai, we're not expecting major rainfall until later on this evening. So I think everyone woke up and expected kind of like disaster zone. It's coming in from Abu Dhabi and coming up the coast. So it's going to be later on tonight. Tomorrow, my phone tells me we're expecting about 6 millimeters of rain, maybe more in some areas. And the UAE, by the way, in light of all of this, has affirmed it is ready to deal with the oncoming weather conditions. Therefore, they're giving us this attention. So as Farah said, we went live yesterday at 5 p.m. And we also posted about it, as is our agendas and news platform to keep you up to date with local news. And I think a lot of people were like, oh, it's just going to drizzle. You guys are freaking out over nothing.
Like me.
But can I please tell you, it is extremely rare for us to get this type of media announcement from authorities. Therefore, as a realist, I'm expecting, and even if it doesn't come, I still think please heed the announcements. Don't go towards the desert. I have been victim of a car. I know I'll talk about it 10 million times. I have been victim of a car going away in the floods, and that was after 30 minutes of rain. Park your car in high locations away from flooded areas. That is the advice.
I mean, the UAE is prepared for this, but I'm not. And you are just giving me a bit. I mean, I know that they are prepared for it, but I'm just there like, in my head, I'm like, I'm not prepared for it at all. I mean, I don't know. Again, maybe it's just because like I'm like young and crazy, of course, and you are just giving me the big sister advice, like, don't go out, don't go out. I'm going to be like...
I don't think it's going to be much of a decision. I think because it's coming here late at night, you'll probably be tucked up in bed by 12, who knows? Friday night, and then you'll wake up in the morning and it's just going to be dark, dreary, hailstorms, thunder, lightning. You won't have a choice. So I'm going to go to the supermarket tonight. I'm going to stock up on groceries. Massa, what's your plan? It's natural weather depression. We believe, yes. NCEMA, which is the National Centre for Crisis Management Authority, that is where our information comes from. And also, of course, the National Centre for Meteorology and Seismology, which is the weather authorities. That's where all the information comes from. So if you want direct from the source, if you want to bypass us, please don't. We'd miss you. You can jump onto Twitter and find it there.
As they say, be smart, be like Casey.
Boring and dull.
No.
8:40 on a Friday morning, the UAE announces it condemns Israel's approval of new settlements in the West Bank and Jerusalem. The UAE has strongly condemned the Israeli government's approval to construct 3,500 new settlement units in the West Bank and occupied East Jerusalem. They also expressed its rejection of all measures aimed at changing the historical and legal status of the occupied Palestinian territory.
In a statement, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs expressed the UAE's rejection of all practices in contravention of resolutions on international legitimacy, of course, which, by the way, threatens further escalation and instability in the region and impede endeavors to achieve peace and stability.
The ministry stressed the need to support all regional and international efforts to advance the peace process in the Middle East, as well as end illegal practices that threaten the two-state solution and the establishment of an independent Palestinian state. Finally, the ministry called on international community to intensify its efforts to reach an immediate ceasefire to avoid further loss of life. More information on that is via WAM, which is the government news agency.
100%. And of course, we have previously heard how the UAE has been very disappointed with the fail of a ceasefire after 2 votes have been, they have rejected the ceasefire. So we also call for a ceasefire. Hopefully it is going to be happening very soon.
Let's jump into our next story. Ramadan is just around the corner, and we're getting information based on different emirates and the rules that will play out.
So Al Quwain extends weekend during Ramadan. Al Quwain might have won the Ramadan timing reduced working hours challenge as a 4-day work week has been announced for employees of Al Quwain government departments during Ramadan.
This means that if you're an employee in UAQ, Friday will be a day off for them during the holy month, in addition to Saturday and Sunday. The revised Ramadan working hours for UAQ government entities from 9 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. Monday to Thursday.
As well, these changes are based off the directives of His Highness Sheikh Saud bin Rashid Al Mualla, Supreme Council member and ruler of Al Quwain. And we're jealous.
This follows information over the last couple of years of Sharjah, of course, introducing a 4-day work week throughout the year. They've also posted an annual report each year since. I think we've seen 2 of them, highlighting the positive effects that a 4-day work week has on employees. I put it to you, I genuinely ask, obviously a 4-day work week, fantastic. 3 days weekend, who's going to say no? Do you think you would genuinely get more work done in 4 days than 5 days?
I think that if, let's say, it's a 4-day per week of work, more work would be done because the employees would be motivated from the decision itself.
Which is at the beginning, but a year down the line, you kind of forget about the decision, and you're like, okay, I've got a 4-day work week now, so therefore Thursday becomes your Friday, which is nothing day today.
Yeah.
Wednesday becomes your Thursday, so only Monday. Then you don't really have 2 days work week. I think you forget about the good decision later on. You become accustomed to it, and do you think at that point you'd still get the same level of work done?
I think,
honestly,
no. To be honest, I think I think that the moment that would happen, I think people are going to be getting bored of the long weekend because even crazy me, like if I during the 2-day weekend, I go like, oh, that feels weird. I don't have work. Do I need to check my, I don't know, is everything fine? You know what I mean? It does get boring. I feel like it depends from one person to another. But generally speaking, I don't want to speak on the behalf of everyone. I feel like, yeah, it would work. It would do better. Yeah, I think.
You would do better.
Yeah.
I don't know. Masa, Natasha? What do you guys think? Okay, great. Love that. So the guys are super. They all believe that they would not want a 4-day work week. Guys, that's crazy.
Okay.
Okay. I think I'd rather a shorter day.
Yeah, I think that could be
5-day week, but 6-hour day. No, I take that back. 3-day weekend. Forget everything I said. 3-day weekend. Yes, please. Thank you very much. Family day, friends day, personal day, self-love day, 3 days. Feeling thirsty. Yeah, a mixed bag of opinions here. What I believe you can to make everyone happy, I think, is the general consensus. Speaking of, let's jump into our next story. And by the way, a quick reminder, anyone joining the show, we are going to have a very interesting interview starting at 8:50. We're going to talk all things visa wait times at the US Embassy with the US Consular Chief, Thomas Young. We're really excited about that. That will be at 8:50. So if you have any questions on that, please drop them in. Our next story, local chef responds to reward season accolades in his own unique way. That is a zoomed in video of meat. Wow. So, okay, first of all, anyone watching the show, Big T Barbecue. Do you know it? Do you love it? It's extremely well known. It's an extremely delicious barbecue spot. And now its owner is making noise for other reasons. So in case you're unaware, in the F&B industry, it's award season right now, where typically restaurants, hotels, people, anything related to the F&B industry as a whole, they're invited to these awards dues, these events, gatherings, and they get high praise for their work. However, it's come to light that, as Thomas has said on his Instagram, let me just open it right now, he has acknowledged that sometimes you have to pay to go to these awards dues, and he's basically opened up the conversation of maybe he doesn't even want to go. Let me just get this quote. Big T Barbecue.
Oh.
So the quote that he put on his Instagram was, "I'm not going to any food award shows ever because it's all paid for." So he's basically saying that you probably pay for the table and therefore you're paying for the award. He says it's all paid for, it's not credible in his opinion. He said, "I'll send our employees if we get nominated because I don't have the time or patience for this BS. We are lucky, you are lucky, we're in a safe place where I have to, by law, be polite. Don't nominate us for anything. I'll continue to work and do what I love and let the food speak for us."
I mean, I loved how he said that he would let the food speak for them rather than awards, because you see actually so many restaurants that have won so many awards, and I have been to some that have been like, oh my God, this is a Michelin star and all of these things. And I would try them and I'd be like, this is so basic, I can even make something better at home. I can even make the same and add my own, I would say, things. And my mom, I've taken my parents like so to some of these restaurants, and I'll be like, "Oh, mom, we're gonna try this amazing." I would say like, whatever. I'm not gonna say what the food is.
What is she thinking?
Then like once like the food, like they're done with the food, they go like, "Farah, it is like, I mean, it's basic."
So interesting about Big T Barbecue is, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, maybe it's changed. From what I knew, they only open 3 days a week and there's queues out the door. People love this place. But then what he's saying is like, look, and he did actually put up a correction. So the employee who's going is not forced to go. I did ask the person, so I'm assuming the employee is going and they might even get nominated and they might win. I think he's kind of calling out I don't believe they're all paid for. They couldn't be, right? Like, you want to know that people are voting. I do enjoy a people vote because I feel like then you get the best. You'll really, like, yes, you can send an editor to a restaurant. And yes, they'll probably have a nice time because they might be paying, but they might be recognized. But ask the people's vote, I think that you'll get a better idea of what really is the best of the city.
I think as well he follows, there's the saying that I have spoken about with my dad, because my dad loves food as much as I love food, is that once a restaurant gets really famous, starts going to these award shows and all of these things, their quality, I don't know if you've noticed, their quality is not the same as it would be from the beginning.
Tricky, yeah.
I have noticed that for sure with like so many, even shawarma places, it's as tiny as shawarma. So I would imagine how he probably has like a strategy with his steak. I mean, it's a steak at the end of the day, so he must be very, I would
say, it's a smokehouse.
Exactly.
Anyway, I would say visit this weekend, support him. However, not tomorrow, but any other day. Guys, it's 8:50, which means it's time for our next guest. Shortly, we're going to be joined by Thomas Young, who is the US Consular Chief. We're talking all things visa wait times and the voting process. Do stay tuned. Hey guys, welcome back to Lovin Dubai Show. Today we have a very special guest with us, Thomas Jung, the US Consular Chief at the US Consulate General in Dubai. He is here to shed light on everything related to the US visa, wait times to address visa backlog, the voting process, and many other things. We are very excited to welcome to the studio. Thank you so much for being here.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me. And happy International Women's Day, right?
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for that.
Before we jump into our interview questions, I would just like to give a quick apology. Because before the show, I introduced you as Thomas Young, when in fact it's Thomas Jung.
Yes, that's correct.
Yes.
And I'm Chinese American, and my father's from China. And so when he immigrated to the United States, our surname is, in Chinese it's Zhou, right? And in Cantonese it's Chao, right? And so when he went to the United States, there was a kerfuffle with the paperwork. They gave him Jung. And so that's my surname.
And you never wanted to go back?
No, we never. We didn't want to go back on that. That was the decision that was made, and that's my name, and I'm proud of it.
Strong name.
Yeah.
Strong name.
That's nice. That's nice. So let's jump to our interview questions.
Yeah.
If you could tell us about the backlog and how long is it?
Oh, okay, sure. So. What the State Department does every week, they publish the wait times for non-immigrant visas around the world. And so we're required to report this every single week. And I know that when before I came here to take on this job, I realized that the wait times were quite long. I think I remembered seeing some numbers. It was like 600 days, 650 days. And when I arrived here, I spoke with my team and we said, okay, well, how can we get this down? What better uses of technology is there, and how can we improve our processes? And now, if you look at our wait times, it's a little bit under a year. So we chopped it down by almost 1 year, and so far the trend line is continuing to go down. And we'll continue to look at our processes, and we'll continue to use technology to get that down. And when I spoke with my staff yesterday before this interview, I think our wait time was approximately 300 days. So we're making progress there, and so I think that's a good point to have. And a good point to make. I also want to just mention that that's the wait time to have a face-to-face interview. And I also think it's important to inform people that there are other ways to apply for a visa. Okay, and especially for those people who currently have a visa and they would like to renew it. If that visa is about to expire, or if that visa has expired within the last 4 years, you can actually mail it in. You can actually mail it in. We'll take the application, we'll adjudicate it. We'll adjudicate it in our office, and we'll mail it back to you. And that saves you time from going into the consulate and making an appointment and having to wait. And we also recognize one other thing too, that there is some urgent travel that people have to do to go to the United States. A business deal, wanting to go study in the United States, a medical emergency. Okay, and we recognize that there are urgencies there. And so if you do make an appointment and there is something urgent within those categories or those buckets, there is a function within our appointment website where you can actually select that, provide a justification, and then one of my staff members, they go through this every single day. They will review it and they will decide whether or not to try to make your appointment, assign some urgency to it, and then we can look at it quicker.
I think that's amazing to hear for anyone who has family in the US, for example, to know that that option is there.
Yeah.
Just a quick question. So I'm traveling to the US in a month or two.
All right, great. You're speaking to the right person, right?
I have many questions.
Okay.
So does the visa wait time, how does it actually work? What is the process to obtain a visa? Is it based on nationality? And also, how are you reducing the wait times further? How will you get down from 300 to 100 days?
Yeah. Well, even maybe further than that we hope. So, one of the big things, one thing that's really interesting, being the consular section chief here, is that we adjudicate applications from pretty much everywhere around the world. I think, my staff was telling me that easily over 160 countries, right? Wow. And so, we'll look at it, and each applicant is different, and we will basically look at each applicant's situation, and then we'll apply the law as best as we can as a standard to determine that application. Now, I'm sorry, if you can repeat your question again, I'll just, I'll try to answer it more directly.
So what is the general process for someone applying for a visa?
The general process, yes, right. Well, we have a third-party contractor who handles our appointment system. And so you can get this information through our main website. And so we have a US mission to the UAE website. You can go on there, select where you would like to apply, whether it's Abu Dhabi and Dubai, and there is a link that you can access. And so when you access that link and you create an account, there will be a menu-driven process, and you simply follow that menu-driven process, selecting the time that you would like to have your appointment, what is your purpose of travel to the United States, providing basic information like your name. And if you follow that menu-driven process, then it should take you, and you should get some pretty satisfactory results. So,
I need to get on that immediately.
Yeah, and that's one thing too, just plan ahead. So I told you a little bit about our wait times. You know, if you are planning to travel to the United States, think ahead, plan ahead, try to make your appointment as soon as you can. And again, if you have some urgency there, whether it's the business appointment, studying in the United States, a medical emergency, please make that clear. And there are options where you can highlight that.
Got you.
Yeah.
So you have mentioned that it's different to each and every applicant, right? And some of the applicants, let's say, they are from countries that, let's say, it's harder for them to get a visa to the United States. However, they're either like born in countries that are like, let's say, okay with the United States, right? So what are these checkpoints that, let's say, an applicant needs to check? Are things that you look at before giving them a visa?
Yeah, so let me go ahead and explain one thing here. You had mentioned that there might be a link between what country you're from, what passport you have, and whether or not you will have a greater chance of receiving a visa or not. And I want to I don't want to emphasize that much because it really is a person's unique situation, and more importantly, what is the purpose of travel to the United States? And so, you know, according to our law, we can go ahead and issue a visa, a non-immigrant visa, to a person who has a legitimate travel to the United States and who's going to stay there for a temporary period of time and who's going to conduct lawful activities. And so that's what we look at for each person. It doesn't matter if a person's from, let's say, the UAE or the People's Republic of China or from Italy or from Saudi Arabia. Those are the standards that we look at. What is your purpose of travel? What do you plan to do? And then we'll ask related questions to make sure that at the end, if you satisfy the law, we'll go ahead and issue the visa. And so that's it. And there's no, I would say, it's not like, oh, well, if you're from this country, then definitely not. That is not anything in the law, or that's not part of our practice. It isn't. Yeah.
Very interesting that you've clarified that. A question that came through as well, which we just kind of love your clarification on, is what is the waiver program?
Oh, yes, the interview waiver program. Okay, so the interview waiver program, we realized, and this was a bunch of years ago, as the department was trying to process cases and handle our volume, if you have repeat travel to the United States, and if you use that visa properly, and you've been to the United States for temporary travel for a lawful purpose and you left the country, well, we can renew your visa, then it becomes a lot easier. And so if you have demonstrated that, okay, so if you have a visa that has been issued and it's about to expire, or it's expired within the last 4 years and you've used it properly, just mail it in. And it's just our way to help expedite the process so you don't have to wait for such a long period of time to do something which should be pretty pro forma. And so, just going back to a little bit about wait times, I know that, people look at the wait times that are in Dubai and they scratch their head and they say, well, this is a problem. Like I said, we're going to try to get that down. We will use more technology. We'll try to tweak our processes, and we will try very, very hard to get that down, because ideally, it should be, it should be 90 days or less.
Is it because there's such a massive volume of applicants coming through, or do you think it's something that can be improved with rather manual processing, and AI can fix it?
Well, I see that. Yeah. And as I speak with people throughout, and it's not just in the consular realm, but in the private sector as well, what you're seeing here in terms of wait times, it's just sort of like the after effect of COVID and basically supply chain management. There's a point in time where people weren't able to travel. There's a point in time where we weren't able to staff our posts adequately. And so now there's a rebound, and it's just taking a little bit longer. So right now I'm fully staffed. Hope to get a few more resources so that we can increase our efficiency and our effectiveness. I can only do so much in the building that we're in, right?
100%.
And so, like I said, tweaking our processes, looking at better uses of technology, and then also having interviews like this, where we can inform our consular clientele and we can inform our applicants. Listen, there's some things that you can do which make it easier, and we have certain channels too to help expedite your visa process. And if you do those things, and if you take advantage of some of these channels, we'll have some good results going forward.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So Casey and you have spoken about the waiver program.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So what are documents that are needed for it?
Well, all of this information is going to be on our website, okay? And so there's a link that we have. It's called a navigator, and so it's a menu-driven process where all the information can be found. But basically, if you submit your passport with your old visa, and you submit a DS-160 confirmation sheet, and then you showed proof that you paid, that's pretty much it. And then, of course, depending upon the visa category itself, I just mentioned to you what the requirements are for, let's say, a business tourist visa, B1, B2 visa. For a student visa, we might need to see an extra document about the school that you're going to. If you're, let's say, an exchange scholar visa applicant, we might need to see another document just to kind of as part of just our process and our regulations. And so it varies a little bit by little bit. But the bottom line is, a DS-160 confirmation sheet, your passport, the old visa, right? We need to see that, and if it's still valid, we have to cancel it and give you a new one, and then proof that you paid, and mail it in. MPost does this, and we'll get it, we'll adjudicate it, we'll send it back to MPost, and you're on your way.
You did mention about mail it in. So do you mean physically mail it? That's what we're...
Yeah. So it's there on the website, and we use MPost, and so what they will do is they'll courier it to us. Okay, we'll take a look at it in the office, and then we'll use MPost, and we'll send it back to you. I
just wonder about consulates around the world. Would you kind of connect with the Irish consulate, the Turkish consulate at US, and would you just all use the same technology?
Oh, no. Each country is different, and each country's immigration rules are different. And so, how we process a visa and what our requirements are to receive a visa to the United States could be very, very different from Italy, Ireland, the European, to get a Schengen visa or to go to Japan. So it's all very different, and it's unique. Yeah.
So the U.S. elections are coming up.
Yeah.
And there are so many U.S. residents here in Dubai, in the UAE actually. Yeah. So how would you say the voting process goes for them in the UAE?
Oh, well, the voting process. Okay, well, first of all, I think one thing I want to say is that we want to encourage people to exercise the right to vote, okay? And what makes the United States perhaps different from other countries is that voting processes are not centralized, okay? Voting processes are dependent upon each state. So we ask our residents, our U.S. citizens, to go back to your home state, to contact the voting authorities of their respective states, get instructions and get clarifications on how to register to make sure you're a registered voter, and what the process is for mailing a ballot back to your home state so that you can make a decision and you can vote on, let's say, a presidential candidate, a senatorial candidate, a congressional candidate, or even local elections. Okay, so we encourage them to get in touch with their local authorities, make clear what is necessary to mail in a ballot, and then what we at the consulate can do to help you. There's a variety of ways to send that completed ballot back to the United States. And one of the things that we offer is that if you've completed it according to your state's authorities, there's sufficient postage, just drop it off and we'll mail it for you. And we can do that for you.
Interesting, because I was going to say, you want to make the voting process as easy as possible for people, right? So I was thinking, do you think that there could be improvements there to make it, is there any way that that could be kind of more efficient? Well,
all I can say is that we offer that service to our U.S. citizen population if they want to mail in a ballot to the United States. And what really, and I think this discussion is taking place at the state level too, they're looking at ways to make the voting process secure and making the voting process in a way where people can really exercise that right to vote. Yeah.
Well, I would like to ask if there are any recent changes or upgrades, of course, regarding the visa application process for the residents in the UAE, regarding as well the US Consulate in Dubai.
Yeah, well, I think the processes that we have, the changes that we made are all back of the house, really, just to try to make things more efficient so we could process things at speed and with accuracy. And again, you know, depending upon the purpose of travel you have to the United States, if it's urgent, please highlight that, and we'll take a look at it, and we'll make a decision on it. And again, we have staff; they look at every single one, and they will make a decision there. And really, plan ahead. And here's some pieces of advice I think for people who wish to apply for a visa. So first of all, you know, you have to fill out the application form, right? Please make sure that it's accurate. Okay, if you can provide accurate information, that's a good thing. And then also when you're at the interview, my officers will ask you straight questions. Okay, please give them straight answers. Okay, just be straightforward, be honest. That honesty is the best policy in this case, because if you try to guess what we want to hear, then things get a little bit weird. And then if things don't make sense, then we start having questions, and then we start asking more questions. And if things don't hold, that doesn't serve you, right? And then, and this is another thing that I found out when I took the job here and I started looking at the way people applied for visas. Now, there is going to be a small percentage of people where we have to look at the application a little bit more. We might have to do some more research. We might have to do some more administrative processing. Now, when that happens, please don't start a new application, right? Don't create a new appointment. And I've heard this too. Some people then try to apply for a new passport. Please don't do that. When we say, well, we need some more time to do administrative processing, please be patient. We're going to bring that case to conclusion, and we'll tell you definitively yes or no. So if you can do those three things, then that would help you, and that's going to help us.
Those tips are extremely interesting. As someone who shall be applying for a visa very soon, can you give me just one example of a question that people don't answer straight so I can make sure I'm giving a clear answer to?
Oh, well, you know, like I said, it's you know, every person's unique. Every applicant is unique. For some people, based upon the totality of the application that we have, we might ask like one or two or a few questions just to do some confirmation. For other purposes, we might have to ask multiple questions. And so, like I said, just be honest with us, okay? Make sure your application is accurate, give us straight answers, and you know, if we have to hold up your application for administrative, don't apply for a new passport. Just be patient, please.
My passport's going until 2028, thankfully, so I shall not be applying for a new one. We have time for one last question. Before you leave us, we have to ask, especially for the American audience today, where is your like favorite spot to go to in Dubai where you can get like good homegrown grub? Do you have one?
Homegrown grub. Okay, so I'll tell you this.
You could get two answers here.
Oh, no, you're getting a lot of answers. I studied hotel management before I joined the American State Department, the US Foreign Service. My father used to be a chef. I love food. I love international cuisines. What is the place that I go to? Bukatir.
Ooh.
Okay, Bukatir. I visited Bukatir in 2013 because Anthony Bourdain said so. And when I was making a transit to Afghanistan, I went there. I thought it was some of the greatest food ever. And so then when I came here with my family 7 months ago, I said we should go to Bukatir. And they haven't disappointed. And we take people there when they come, we take our friends and we take visitors there to eat. And that's one of my favorite spots.
You've inspired me to go back because it's changed a lot in the last 10 years, right? It's not the kind of, what was it, like the truck on the side of the road with the chairs outside?
It was a simple structure with chairs outside. And then when I went there, I was like, wait a minute, you have a dining room and it's air conditioned. And so, which my wife really enjoyed, and but the food hasn't changed. It's wonderful. We go there.
Love that so much. Top tips from the US Consulate. Thank you so much for your time.
Oh,
that was
you.
Thomas Jung. We really appreciate you clarifying those points. We really appreciate your time this morning.
Anytime. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
That is all we have time for on the Lovin Dubai show this morning. We're back with you on Monday morning. Please stay safe and please do not travel on Saturday unless it's absolutely urgent. We'll see you then. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Okay.